The 19th century was a time of immense change. The Industrial Revolution swept across Europe, transforming societies and economies. Factories sprouted up in cities, drawing in workers from rural areas. These workers faced harsh conditions, long hours and low wages. The gap between the rich and the poor widened, creating a fertile ground for new ideologies like socialism. The rise of industrial capitalism created a new class of industrial workers, the proletariat. These workers owned little but their labour. They faced exploitation at the hands of the bourgeoisie, the factory owners and capitalists who controlled the means of production. This stark class division fueled social unrest and a growing sense of injustice. The Industrial Revolution, while bringing progress, also brought misery to many. It created a system where the few profited at the expense of the many. This stark reality led many to question the fairness of the capitalist system and seek alternative ways to organize society. The contrast between the opulence of the wealthy and the poverty of the working class was impossible to ignore. Social commentators and intellectuals began to critique the inequalities inherent in capitalism, paving the way for socialist ideas to take root. Socialism emerged as a response to the injustices of industrial capitalism. It advocated for a more equitable society, where the means of production were owned collectively and wealth was distributed more fairly. Two main strands of socialist thought emerged: Marxism and utopian socialism. Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels provided the most influential critique of capitalism. Their work, including the Communist Manifesto, argued that history was a struggle between classes. They believed that capitalism contained the seeds of its own destruction. The proletariat, they predicted, would eventually rise up and overthrow the bourgeoisie, leading to a classless society. Utopian socialists, like Robert Owen and Charles Fourier, offered idealistic visions of harmonious communities based on cooperation and shared ownership. They established experimental communities to demonstrate the viability of their ideas. While these experiments often faced practical challenges, they helped popularize socialist ideals. Marxism provided a scientific analysis of capitalism and a roadmap for revolutionary change. Utopian socialism, on the other hand, offered a more idealistic vision of a just and equitable society. Both strands of socialism shared a common goal: to create a more just and equitable society. They differed in their approaches, but both contributed to the growing socialist movement. Workers, inspired by socialist ideas, began to organize themselves to fight for better working conditions and higher wages. Labor unions emerged as powerful forces, challenging the power of factory owners through strikes and collective bargaining. Socialist political parties also gained prominence. These parties aimed to achieve socialist goals through democratic means. They participated in elections, advocating for social reforms, workers' rights, and greater economic equality. The growth of labor unions and socialist parties marked a turning point in the struggle for workers' rights. These organizations gave workers a collective voice and a platform to demand change. Socialist ideas spread rapidly throughout the working class. Newspapers, pamphlets, and public speeches helped disseminate socialist ideals, inspiring workers to fight for a better future. Russia in the early 20th century was ripe for revolution. The country was ruled by an autocratic Tsar, Nicholas II. The majority of the population lived in poverty, while a small elite enjoyed immense wealth and privilege. World War I exacerbated Russia's problems. Military defeats, food shortages, and economic hardship fueled popular discontent. In February 1917, protests erupted in Petrograd, now St. Petersburg. The Tsar's authority crumbled, and he was forced to abdicate, ending centuries of Romanov rule. The February Revolution was a spontaneous uprising triggered by years of oppression and hardship. It led to the collapse of the Tsarist regime and the establishment of a provisional government. However, the provisional government proved unable to address the root causes of the revolution. Russia remained mired in war, and the social and economic problems that had fueled the revolution persisted. Section 5. the October Revolution, the Bolsheviks take power. In the chaos following the February Revolution, various political factions vied for power. The Bolsheviks, led by Vladimir Lenin, were a radical socialist party that advocated for a socialist revolution. The Bolsheviks promised peace, land and bread to the Russian people. They gained support among workers, soldiers and peasants who were disillusioned with the provisional government. In October 1917, the Bolsheviks, led by Leon Trotsky, staged a coup d'etat, seizing power in Petrograd. The October Revolution, also known as the Bolshevik Revolution, marked a turning point in world history. It led to the establishment of the world's first socialist state. The Bolsheviks faced fierce opposition from anti-communist forces, both within Russia and internationally. A brutal civil war erupted, lasting from 1917 to 1922. Section 6. Birth of a giant, the Soviet Union emerges. After their victory in the Civil War, the Bolsheviks consolidated their power. In 1922, they established the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics, also known as the Soviet Union. The Soviet Union was a vast, multi-ethnic state that encompassed much of Eastern Europe and Central Asia. It was a one-party state ruled by the Communist Party. The Soviet Union implemented a centrally planned economy, nationalized industries and collectivized agriculture. The formation of the Soviet Union had a profound impact on the course of the 20th century. It became a model for socialist revolutions around the world. The Soviet Union, under Lenin's leadership, embarked on a program of rapid industrialization and modernization. It sought to transform itself from a backward agrarian society into an industrial powerhouse. Section 7. A world divided, socialism and the Cold War. After World War II, the world became increasingly polarized between two superpowers, the capitalist United States and the communist Soviet Union. This rivalry, known as the Cold War, shaped international relations for decades. The Cold War was characterized by ideological conflict, military build-ups and proxy wars. Both superpowers sought to expand their spheres of influence, leading to tensions in Europe, Asia and Latin America. The Cold War had a profound impact on the development of socialism. The Soviet Union and its allies supported socialist revolutions and movements around the world. The United States, on the other hand, sought to contain the spread of communism through a variety of means, including military interventions, economic aid, and covert operations. Section 8. Echoes of Revolution, Socialism's Legacy and Modern Relevance. The collapse of the Soviet Union in 1991 marked the end of an era. However, socialism's legacy continues to shape political discourse and inspire movements for social justice. Socialist ideas have influenced social democratic parties in Europe and beyond, leading to the implementation of welfare states, universal healthcare, and other social programs. Socialism's emphasis on social justice, economic equality, and workers' rights continues to resonate with many people around the world, especially in the face of rising inequality and the challenges posed by globalization. Section 9. The enduring appeal of socialism, equality, and social justice. Despite the collapse of the Soviet Union and the challenges faced by socialist movements, the ideals of socialism continue to hold a powerful appeal for many people around the world. The core values of equality, social justice, and solidarity resonate deeply with those who seek a more just and equitable world. Socialism offers a critique of the inequalities and injustices inherent in capitalist systems. It challenges the concentration of wealth and power in the hands of a few and advocates for a more equitable distribution of resources. In a world marked by growing disparities between the rich and the poor, socialism's message of economic justice continues to resonate. Moreover, socialism emphasizes the importance of social solidarity and collective action. It recognizes that we are all interconnected and that our well-being is dependent on the well-being of others. This message of solidarity has a particular appeal in an era of increasing individualism and social fragmentation. Section 10. Socialism in the 21st century. Challenges and opportunities. Socialism in the 21st century faces both challenges and opportunities. The rise of neoliberalism, globalization, and the decline of traditional working-class industries have posed significant challenges to socialist movements. The collapse of the Soviet Union and the failures of other socialist experiments have also led some to question the viability of socialist alternatives. However, the global financial crisis of 2008, the climate crisis, and the growing awareness of social and economic inequalities have created new opportunities for socialist ideas to gain traction. The resurgence of interest in democratic socialism, particularly among young people, suggests that socialism may be poised for a comeback. Socialist movements in the 21st century are adapting to the changing global landscape. They are embracing new forms of organizing, utilizing social media, and building alliances with other social movements, such as environmental justice and anti-racism movements. The future of socialism will likely depend on its ability to address the challenges of the 21st century and offer compelling alternatives to the status quo.